Welcome to the Let's All Laugh Out podcast. I'm joined this week by Johnny and Dan. Johnny, how are you?
Yeah, man, not bad.
All good, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll start with Dan and his reaction. Dan, 3-1 win for Liverpool away at West Ham. Following up on the Spurs game, it seems like you guys are back in form.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's obviously as it just happened. I'm pretty over the moon, but I'm not going to get too carried away because what went before it was pretty poor. But yeah, that was brilliant. We're just speaking off recording about the goals. Fantastic performance. Especially considering, like, I was slightly worried about West Ham coming into it because I think that they're playing really well at the moment, and we haven't been really. But yeah, brilliant. Fair news to Jordan Henderson at the back and Nat Phillips. You know,
Yes.
Nat Phillips. I mean, yeah, they're not the long-term answer. There's no getting away from that. But you know, fair play. On Thursday night, they both did really well against Spurs second half. And I think tonight, against a very physical and decent West Ham side, they were brilliant again.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And to be, I was a little bit disappointed with West Ham. So I was thinking with Antonio, I was thinking he'd cause a lot more problems than he did. To be honest, because he's a proper physical striker, isn't he?
Yeah,
I thought more problems, but he didn't. And that's fair play to Phillips and Henderson. To be fair,
It is. I do think West Ham were a little bit playing the team that we were as opposed to the lineup, if that makes sense. Now, I might be discrediting us a little bit there, and we might have been too good to let them play. But there were times whereby I thought West Ham weren't really on the front foot when they could have been. And like, if you look at the lineups at the start, like obviously, you know, man for man, you'd probably say our lineup's better. But without Mane, without Firmino, without Matip, Van Dijk, and Gomez, you think, and West Ham playing the way they have been, you think if West Ham are ever going to beat Liverpool, it's right now. And they never really looked like they believed that themselves.
yeah, no, I can't agree more. And I think there's a corner in the first half, and I think Redknapp mentioned it at half time, saying about why didn't they just swing it in the box?
Yeah, they went short, didn't they? And obviously, they ended up scoring from a corner late on. But like I say, I mean, I might be doing our lads a disservice, especially Phillips and Henderson, because I thought that game suits Phillips because he played against West Ham at Anfield and he got man of the match because West Ham like to go aerial, like to go physical. And if there's one thing he is very good at, it's winning aerial battles. So we've been quite fortunate in a way that he's had to play both them games. And listen, the lad's done well, and it looks like we could bring a centre half in now before tomorrow night. And if they play alongside Phillips, I wouldn't mind that too much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't argue with 3 points is 3 points. I mean, you know that Greek player you guys. Is he a defender? I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, he's a left back.
Is he left back? I thought he was a centre back for some strange
No,
reason.
he's naturally a left back. Unfortunately, I think we all wish he was a centre back, given what's
Why
going on.
are they not playing him? If he's a centre back, obviously he's not a centre back. He's a left back. Okay.
No, he's a left back. Yeah, cover for Robertson really. But yeah, like I said, it looks like we might sign one now. Hopefully, if we can get anything over the line. A lad from the Championship quite heavily linked tonight. Ben Davis, who looks half decent to be honest with you, but I mean the next 24 hours will tell.
Ben Davis from Preston.
Yeah, he's very heavily linked to Liverpool tonight.
I thought he was going to Rangers.
Yeah, he's been linked with both the old firm clubs for quite a long time, but he's out of contract in the summer, and it looks like we're just going to give it. 2 million is the report, and we're also sending one of our young defenders, Vanderberg, on loan there to like cover for that, so it kind of makes sense both ways. Yeah, and listen, I mean, I won't pretend.
Sounds like a bit of a Stephen Walker sign.
Yeah, it does. I mean, potentially slightly better because Ben Davis is reasonably highly rated. I mean, if the old firm clubs are interested in you, that's not a bad level. You know, that in terms of them too, Scottish football generally isn't great, as we know. But in terms of them two clubs, if it was, you know, Hibernian or Aberdeen, no disrespect, you'd probably question it. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend he is the level we should probably be going for. But given the situation we're in and where we are in the window, he's not a bad signing. And Jurgen Klopp and his coaches improve footballers. They've done it for a long time. So if they can improve him to boost, then even better.
No, absolutely. Sometimes, like with the Championship, I mean, you can get a little gem in the Championship. Sometimes, I mean, like it's taken Rob Holding a while to kind of get to where it's now, but you know, he's turned into a really good defender. So you can buy decent defenders in the Championship.
Well, 100%. I mean, effectively, when we bought Wijnaldum, sorry, Andrew, and Andy Robertson, they were both Championship players as well. and they've worked out okay. I mean, they had played some leagues, but it's slightly different. But
Championship players, they've just been relegated to the Premier League.
they were in the Championship at the time when we bought them, though, weren't they? But I mean, we don't need this Ben Davies to do a job. We're not asking him to be Van Dijk's long-term successor. We're asking him to do a job for 6 months, in theory, you know what I mean? And potentially, if he does well, he could be our 4th choice next season, which sounds harsh, but he must think he's won the lottery as well, this fella.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, Dan, I was watching the game earlier as well, and when you've got Firmino, Salah and Mane, both all proper class strikers, and I look at Divock Origi, and he must be so frustrating to watch at times.
He's miles off, isn't he? He's miles off.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long he can live off that Champions League goal or that goal against Everton.
I think it's done. In my opinion. I don't think he can live off it anymore. I mean,
a couple of shots. The first half was, he went so far over the bar, but it's like, I don't know, when you've got no Firmino and no Mane, you think to yourself, you know what, this is my chance here. If I can get a couple of goals against West Ham, I might get in the squad a bit more. But he just doesn't seem up for it, does he?
No, it's harsh because as you touched upon, like, he doesn't get a lot of football. So when he does come in, you can't really expect a great deal off him. No. But he is given opportunities. Like, I remember earlier this season, he played against Lincoln of League One, and he was really, really bad. You know, he's been miles off now since the Champions League final. You know, he's given us some great moments, but I'd sell him personally. I think it's time. I mean, it's not going to happen now by the looks of it, but it looks like it's time.
Yeah, I agree.
Other big game this weekend, Johnny, game you felt you enjoyed. Arsenal 0, Man U 0.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a classic. I mean, I thought I was quite happy with the way we played. I was a little bit worried before the game with no Saka. I thought that'd be but I must admit to draw against Man United with 3 very key players out, and we played very well for the parts of the game. We could have won it, we could have lost it. To a man, I thought we played really, really well. I thought David Luiz, I mean, he gets a lot of stick, but he was immense yesterday. He was superb, as well as Rob Holding was. There's only one thing that did slightly annoy me. I put in the group chat was the Fernandes incident, which I just think if that was Xhaka on Fernandes, we're probably talking about a Xhaka red card. That's just a personal opinion, but that was a nasty. I know it's early in the game, but that's nasty if you ask me.
Yeah, no, it was nasty, and I touched upon it in the group. Like, it's minimum a yellow. Like, it really is. But what gets me, and I've touched upon this again with us, is VAR can't say, listen, it's not a red, but you've got to book him. They're not allowed to say that. That's ridiculous. Like, he's got away with nothing from that, and it was really quite horrible.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, how it's not a yellow card, I don't know. And, you know, it's just, yeah, it was nasty. And he doesn't need to do that, Fernandes. I mean, he spent most of the game on the floor yesterday, and he's so frustrating to watch because he's got talent, but he does find himself on the floor an awful lot and moan and stuff. And I'm like, just get up, mate. Come on.
He's not been great for a while, actually.
No, absolutely not. He wasn't great yesterday. I mean, and another player that, you know, against one of the big sides, he plays against Burnley and Fulham and he scores one of the goals. But he comes up against a half decent midfield and he goes missing. That's Paul Pogba. I mean, where was he yesterday? I didn't see him once, I don't think.
No, but it's a strange one with him. So obviously United fans have been raving about him for a few weeks, but they've paid 90 million and waited 3 or 4 years for any sort of performance, like in terms of consistency. I don't really get, like, they talk about him like the next coming, but this should have happened 18 months ago minimum. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like you say, yesterday he's off the boil again. So I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd say before the game, obviously missing Tierney, Aubameyang and Saka, I was thinking, we could be in a bit of trouble here. They're 3 very key players. But I must admit, I was quite happy with the result. It wasn't a classic, but we got another clean sheet. We could have won it as well. Lacazette at the bar. But overall, it wasn't a bad performance. I thought we played quite well, actually.
Do you feel that Man U are now out the title race? Dropped 5 points to City, haven't they? With 1 point in the last 6.
I mean, it's not title winning form. That's for certain. You know, if you want to win the league, you've got to win games, and I think I think there's a few teams that could still win the league. I don't see United being in the top 2, or they'll probably get top 4, but I think there's teams that are going to finish above them, like City, Liverpool. I think they've got a chance, but I don't see it happening. United winning the league.
If they were in the title race or not is a different question, in my
Liverpool winning
opinion.
the league.
Whether they were good enough to win. I don't think they're good enough to win the title. Now they look like they're in the race for a while, but that's a different story altogether. Like even when they were winning games, they weren't convincing.
Nice.
You know what I mean? They were winning by the odd goal after going behind half the time, and a lot of them odd goals were penalties. You know what I mean? They've never really blown teams away all season. So not when City and Liverpool on the day are as good as they can be. They're not in the title race, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. No, and as I say, with their players yesterday, I mean, how many strikers they have on yesterday? United. I mean, Greenwood came on. I mean, Martial as well, Dan. I don't know about you, but I don't know what he brings, Martial.
No, I think United fans have head up with him as well. I mean, he has his moments whereby I think he's a proper decent footballer, but he doesn't half miss some chances as well. He's quite frustrating as a United fan, I imagine.
Because I mean, like strikers like Aubameyang and Salah, they'll miss one chance and then they'll probably have one more chance to score. Where Martial, he has to have 3 or 4 chances before he scores.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Unlike Callum Wilson,
Super Callum.
Yeah, he's Callum Wilson. Obviously, a win, our first win in. I think we've been on a run. Different performance. I mean, a lot of Newcastle fans are crediting to Graham Jones coming in and coaching and giving us different tactics due to the work rate of the players. Like, I've never seen John Joe Shelby run that much. He usually doesn't run at all. So it shows you the difference sometimes it can make. I mean, Everton weren't great and so forth, but as well, Burnley losing today as well, it does give us a bit more of a gap from those teams. So it is. Were you impressed with Callum Wilson's goals?
Yeah, took him very well. Must admit, and with Newcastle, in football, I mean, I'm no expert by any stretch of imagination, but like when you losing games, it becomes, you carry on losing games, and it comes, you're used to it, and it's hard to get out of losing games, and but Newcastle, a big win at Everton, they're a decent size, and to go, not many teams will go to Goodison Park and get a result unless they're all offside, and anyway, but no, good result from Newcastle, played really well. And hopefully they can carry on with that.
Dan, Dan, one of the Everton players who's come under a lot of criticism has been need to probably think about getting a proper number one to replace Jordan Pickford, because for me he makes so many errors. I mean, he last a few days ago. How do you feel about Jordan Pickford?
Is that a very open-ended question? I could go down a very different path with that question, but I won't. I'll stick to football. I think they probably do need to replace him, and this is taking my Liverpool don't like Jordan Pickford hat off, because he makes very good saves, like world-class shot-stopping type saves. However, when he has to think about things, I think there's a serious problem. His thought process just seems a little bit fuzzled, a little bit manic at times, and as a goalkeeper, that creates problems. His levels of mistakes is obviously very high. Like I seen a stat, his errors leading to goal is like double the next goalkeeper in the past year or so. They've got a genuine problem there, because one match or 1 hour of a match, you'll see him pull off 3 or 4 worldy saves, and you'll think, oh, you know what, he's brilliant, number one all day. And then the next week, when you've picked him again, he'll do something crazy. And Newcastle have been the benefactors of his craziness, I think, more than anyone. I think he had a nightmare against us last season. So yeah,
he's from the Joe Hart kind of pumped up.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's a good analogy, good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you're a goalkeeper. You don't need to be that pumped up. Calm down.
There was something to talk about the other day. Like, you can't afford to get too high or too low as a footballer, especially a goalkeeper, when it's such an important position in terms of your errors lead to a goal. He allows himself to get to either end of that spectrum by the looks of it. Like, when he makes a mistake, he punches the floor and punches himself. And then when he does something good, he gets all psyched up and like gives the crowd abuse, when there was a crowd, obviously. And he brings himself in for criticism when he then makes an error. Like, Liverpool fan, obviously, when Alisson made a mistake for a goal against Leicester at the start of last season, Jordan Pickford came out and said, I won't make mistakes like Alisson. And obviously what's happened since is he's made, I think it's 6 or 7. Like, he's a very arrogant individual, looking from the outside in. I remember again the Newcastle thing when he turned around and swore at all the fans and give it the big one on the way off, and then proceeded to concede 2 in the second half. You don't do yourself any favours acting like that, especially when it then comes back to bite you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The thing with Pickford, like with England as well, like, I mean, it's a difficult one because for England, he doesn't actually have a bad game for England. That's the thing.
Very different than international football, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, definitely. But I think it's quite hard to drop him, I think, for England.
It is, but what I'd say on that is, so I'm not a massive international football or England fan for that matter, but when England are playing Belarus in the qualifiers, he doesn't have a hell of a lot to do. And in most international football, it's quite slow paced. What I would say is, when you get into the latter stages of tournaments, is where England should be looking. That's when you could come unstuck with a Jordan Pickford.
You know, you're not wrong. I mean, he's definitely arrogant. I mean, I'll never forget when
looking at the other England goalkeeping candidates, Johnny. Yeah. Do you think Nick Pope or Henderson?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Henderson. He done superb last season for Sheffield United, and I think he can count himself a little bit unlucky. He's not playing more for Man United, if I'm honest. He's definitely in with a chance of going to the Euros and challenging Pickford, same as Nick Pope. I think we've got a good little group of English goalkeepers. But as Dan says, international football is completely different, and Pickford doesn't have a lot to do in international football. But Gareth Southgate's definitely got a healthy headache because he's got some good decent goalkeepers to pick from.
I mean, looking at the other games that we've seen, Dan, Chelsea obviously brought in Thomas Tuchel. Obviously, they won today 2-0 at home to Burnley. Do you have any thoughts on whether maybe Tuchel was the right choice or not?
I think they had to get rid of Lampard, which sounds really harsh, but I think it was too early for him to be appointed. I don't think he's done a bad job. I don't think he should have got the job in the first place. I think if you look at, it sounds crazy, but if you look at what Steven Gerrard's done in terms of going away to a top flight, and he's going to spend a few.
Bring up Steven Gerrard.
Well, yeah, because I think Lampard had one season in the Championship and was given a top job after it, and I think that's too soon. And if you look at, just to use a comparison, because they're the same age, played in midfield together for England, etc., he's going to spend 3 or 4 minimum seasons learning his trade. Whereas if Lampard got that for a year, and you're not ready, as it's proven. And the problem is, like, he was never going to get time at Chelsea because Abramovich, you're playing with his time and his money. Like, he spent £250 million this summer. You can't afford to not deliver for that sort of money. In terms of Tuchel, I've not seen a great deal of him since he went to Paris, in particular, because the French league doesn't excite me or interest me much, I must say. But yeah, I mean, they've changed style, haven't they, since he came in? They're playing a lot of passing football ever since, and he's done a good job elsewhere in terms of what he did with Dortmund, especially. So, time will tell. He's got a proven track record of working with some of the players they have and stars, if you like. But it doesn't necessarily terrify me, that appointment, in terms of, a threat to Liverpool necessarily. Even though Chelsea bought really well in the summer, a lot of them signings now are looking a little bit questionable.
Because Lampard loves Mason Mount, and I don't think he would buy. I don't think he would have bought someone who basically plays in the same position as Mason Mount. I think all the other sides. I'm not the Kai Havertz one.
No, I'm not sure. I don't think he knew where he played, to be honest with you. I think that was half the problem.
If you've got a star in that position, why would you bring in another guy in? Which means you're going to unbalance the midfield if you play.
Yeah, but their recruitment all summer looked a bit like that, Chelsea's. Like, they had a decent strike force anyway, and then they got Werner and Havertz, and Ziyech. It was like they're just throwing players at this squad and hoping something sticks.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing to do, isn't it? You keep throwing money at it. I mean, and Werner, I mean, I don't know what. He just can't seem to hit the target. I just out of him. I mean, for Leipzig, he was scoring goals for fun. I mean, I I didn't see the game today, but I was listening on the radio, and every 10 minutes, it's like, and Werner's got a chance. Oh, is it over?
Yeah, he's really struggling, to be honest.
And he will come good. I mean, all the great players that have come over in the Premier League over the past 10, 15, 20 years, the first season they've struggled, and I'm sure he'll get better. He can't get much worse, but I'm sure he will improve. And next season, he'll probably top goal scorer now.
I've got to be honest with Timo Werner. When I watched him for Germany, I wasn't actually impressed by him. He had such a big reputation, and I didn't think he was. But obviously his goal record is very good, but it is because a lot of the players who come, I think we've talked about this before, a lot of the players who've come over recently haven't quite stepped up. Maybe the German league is asking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. I like the German league. I think it's a decent standard. I don't think it's a bad yardstick. I think the point you make about Werner not impressing is an interesting one because, as we well know, Liverpool were heavily linked with Werner in the summer, and obviously it didn't end up happening. But in the build-up to that, when the Bundesliga came back before everything else, I watched quite a lot of Leipzig because of Werner. And he scored goals in most of the games. So you come away thinking, oh yeah, he scored goals, brilliant, happy days. But when you look back, you think, well, was his all-round play fantastic? And not only that, they played to his strengths, like massively played to his strengths. They had that Poulsen up top with him, who essentially dropped deep to make space for Werner to run in behind constantly. Now, I don't think Tammy Abraham can do that yet. I think Giroud is more of a in-the-box target man. So maybe that's I mean, the one time Werner has impressed me in the Premier League was, I think there's a counter-attack goal early in the season when he just ran away from everyone. And that's kind of what he needs. If that space doesn't open up for him, I don't think there's a lot going for him, to be honest.
No, I do agree, actually, yeah.
Okay, and any transfer deals that might be happening? Dan, you've mentioned Ben Daniels. Is it Ben Daniels?
Davis,
yeah, that's it. Newcastle just we're very close to getting Idrissa Gueye on loan from PSG. Johnny, are you impressed with the Odegaard signing?
Yeah. I mean, he came on yesterday. He done kind of little touches, but yeah, I mean, he's a talent. So I don't see us buying any more players. I see a couple of players going out. Maybe Maitland-Niles, maybe going to West Brom. I think that's the thing. And I think I said see him go, but he wants to play for England. He wants to, and I think it'd be a good signing for him for West Brom. Maitland-Niles, he's a decent player, and he'll definitely get a chance to defend playing for West Brom, won't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be busy, I think.
Talk about Fulham. Yeah, West Brom, Fulham 2-2. And some, I mean, do you think they're unlikely to, because that game was someone needed to win, really?
Yeah, probably did. Someone need to win that. I quite fancy Fulham to stay up. I've seen some positive signs of them recently. They play some decent football. Oh, what a goal, by the way! Brighton are beating Tottenham, just to let you know.
I'm streaming it. I must be just behind you.
Yeah, sorry. Brighton are beating Tottenham.
I can celebrate twice. It's not a problem.
Lovely goal. Sorry. Yeah, I think Fulham will be okay. You're right in terms of probably they needed to pick up points. But I mean, it's difficult because obviously there's got to be 3 teams worse than Fulham for them to stay up. And that's really hard to see at the minute. But they're the one who probably have a glimmer of hope. I don't think West Brom have got enough about them at all. Despite Big Sam, I think they'll get beat too often. I don't think they've got enough goals in the side, etc. Sheffield United, they're probably good enough in terms of what they showed last season, but their start was too bad. It doesn't really matter what they do now. That start, you can't stay up after it. That game was a decent game of football. They both probably showed enough to win it, but ultimately there needs to be 3 teams worse than them both, and that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sheffield United, I mean, I watched the game yesterday. They were a little bit unlucky against Man City. They had a couple of good chances in that.
Yeah, that John Fleck shot was close at the end, wasn't it?
Sheffield United, I mean, they could probably come away with that game thinking, Joe, we could have got a draw out of that. And,
the thing is, if the season started last week and they've just beat United and drawn at City, they'd be made up. And that's what they're capable of. The problem is, what's preceded that has been an absolute shit show, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre because they were so decent last year.
Yeah, I think they're missing. Who's that defender they're missing? Is it Jack O'Connell?
O'Connell, yeah.
He's been a big miss, hasn't he? For them.
He has. It's a strange one because, like I say, they were so good. And ever since we've come back without crowds, they've been a shell of themselves.
Yes.
And obviously the O'Connell thing doesn't help. They've signed a lot of strikers who haven't really worked, Ryan Brewster. But I don't know, they look like they're gone to me, which is early to say, but it's a shame in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good goal as well by Brighton, wasn't it? Good finish, that.
Yeah. Let's go on to the Let's All Laugh At segment. Anything to laugh at this week?
For me personally, and I don't like laughing at players getting injured, but I've got to put Mr. Harry Kane in there for his little signature move that he does, trying to get leaning into players. He does it all the time and gets away with it, and he puts other players at risk. And against Liverpool, we tried to do it, and Henderson was far too smart for him, got out of the way and injured himself. So that's kind of what you get for trying to get players injured. I suppose. Like I said, done it last night against United. I don't like seeing it, and I think I think it should be a bookable offence, to be honest.
Well, it's a very interesting point, that, because I had this exact conversation last night. And you know what it reminds me of, and this is something I brought up during this conversation, is, anyone watch rugby union? You may or may not. But nowadays in rugby union, if you touch somebody in the air, when they're trying to compete for the ball, you're instantly either yellow carded or often red carded. Because if you knock someone off balance while they're in midair, it's properly dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, that is what Harry Kane does a lot of the time. And like you say, it is quite funny the way it happened, because it was his having a look at the player, trying to get the player to concede a foul move that got him injured. But it's a properly dangerous thing. And he's won penalties and free kicks for it. I remember he won a penalty against Brighton, Lallana.
Yeah.
But it needs stopping, because someone is going to get hurt. And it won't be great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a nasty thing to do. And as I say, Lacazette done it last night against United.
I think Maguire fell proper nastily, didn't he?
Yeah, no, it was nasty. And it's different if you're jumping up for a ball and you're off balance. You're midair.
You can't re-kill to yourself in midair. You know what I mean? If someone knocks you off balance in midair, that's it. You're gone.
Yeah, and I think it should be a yellow or red card. I just think it's not so much cheating, but it's cheating, but not cheating, if you know what I mean.
No, it'll probably happen, because it took a while in rugby. And now, like I say, in rugby, the refs take a properly grim view of it. If you touch someone when they're in midair, that's it. Like, you tend to be sent off, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, another one from me, I don't know if it was Aston Villa's Twitter account last night. I don't know if any of you saw.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
It's like, never in doubt. And it's like, it's in bad taste, especially when VAR are the only reason why you're probably still in the Premier League in the first place, to be fair. After that goal for was it Sheffield United last season?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that goal went over the line, bit bad taste. And they were very twice Villa last night, lucky one with the handball and the goal. It's just, how was that offside? I don't understand it.
Shocking, weren't they, both of them?
Okay, and Dan, which Let's All Laugh At will you be going for?
So mine is very recent, and there's probably funnier things that have happened this week, but it's very on topic, and it's something that rings true with me. So at the end of our game just now, the interviewer for Sky Sports asked Mohamed Salah how he dealt with his Barron run in front of goal. Now, Mohamed Salah being Egyptian, his English probably isn't fantastic. So he completely ignored the question and went on to tell the interviewer how he didn't like VAR. Just basically, literally, the interviewer goes, "So you've not scored for 6 weeks or six games. How have you coped with that?" And he goes, "In my opinion, I don't like VAR. In foreign countries, you get the advantage. In this country, no, I don't like VAR. That's just my opinion. I don't want to get banned or fined, but I don't like it." And didn't even answer what he asked him at all.
Fair play to him, to be fair. Can't argue with that. To be fair. Can't argue. I think he's though. It is weird though how the media, certain players who don't score for six games or 10 games, like Aubameyang for instance, and they're straight on their back like he hasn't scored. I see. You're like, it's only 6 games. All strikers go through it. All the great strikers in Ronaldo probably went through it. Messi has probably gone through it. It's just a little barren run. And
there is definitely, this is a completely different topic in many ways. There is definitely an English bias in this media. if that was Harry Kane, you probably wouldn't hear off it. What you'd hear instead is how he influences the play elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And how his assists are so key. The goals don't really matter. Whereas if Salah, Aubameyang, whoever it may be, goes through a drought, that's like the headline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like, Harry Kane cannot score for 12 months, and it'd be like, oh well, he does all this. It's like
He's changed the style of player he is at that point.
He's adapted. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. My one this week, I'm going to go for Joe. Basically went and got a haircut and posted it on social media, and in my head, it's like, I hope he gets banned for the rest of the season.
It's just,
honestly do not care. I just throw the book at him.
It's so stupid, isn't it?
Just banned from English football in total. Just stupidity.
It's
seriously.
Do you know? And I don't condone anyone breaking the rules, but people are doing it. Whatever. If you're going to do it, don't put it over social media.
Because they're all doing it. They're all getting haircuts. Like, that's obvious.
Yeah, and it is obvious. But then don't why put it on social media?
No, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I need a haircut, and you know what? I'm going
to put a hairdresser on, and I don't get why the club don't just get.
There must be a hairdresser at the club.
Put him on staff and say he's the physiotherapy assistant, and he just cuts the hair for.
And it sounds really stupid.
I just think that would just make.
I'd love one of the teams to have like proper bad haircuts, a lot of them, and just say, oh well, the manager has to do it.
There must be a thing in clubs, because they'll do promo stuff. They'll wear makeup to make themselves look good and blah blah blah. So why are there not club hairdressers? There must be a reason why they don't have one, because they can all bubble together, so it doesn't make any difference.
There must be something going on, like I say, though, because they have all got decent haircuts.
I remember, it's like, talking of stupidity. Yeah. Talking of stupidity, I remember David Beckham for England against Wales, so he missed the next game. But rather than keeping it stuck, he said, "Oh yeah, I did do that. I purposely got."
Yeah.
And he got banned. I think Sergio Ramos did the same thing. It's just, if you're doing something, you're not doing the right thing, just keep it quiet.
Yeah, I remember the Ramos one.
Yeah, I remember that as well. Wait, wasn't there two of them that got booked or sent off in that Real Madrid game?
In the same game, yeah. I want to say it was Benzema.
I think it was Benzema. Yeah, I think it was. And footballers get such a bad reputation. And most of it's granted, because some of them are. Joe Linton, what are you doing? Honestly, it's so stupid. Get your hair cut, fine. You're breaking the rules, whatever. But I need an haircut. You know what I mean? And if I was to get a haircut from someone, I wouldn't. You just don't do it. It's very. Oh, it does make me brain cells. I think that's the thing that he's lacking.
Okay, so what am I going to go for?
The Mohamed Salah one's quite funny.
I see that. It's good.
That's quite funny. Whether he meant it or not, because his English is not great, or whether he's like,
he either had an agenda or he genuinely didn't understand the question.
Yeah, and I think that's quite funny. And you know what? I haven't scored. I wish you would. You know what? The reason why I haven't scored a goal is because of VAR. I wish if it said that, that'd be even better. Yeah, I like that. I don't really mind.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us on the Let's All Laugh Out podcast. Please take a look at the links for Johnny and Dan's work